Hello everyone, and welcome to this episode of ALPHA TEC-Talks. I'm your host, Noel Smith, and today we will be exploring the new range of DSPs from Biamp. And as you will see shortly, these DSPs are nothing shy of fantastic. So with me in the studio today, Michael van Rensburg. Mike, good to have you back in the studio.
Thank you for having me again, Noel.
Nice. So just to quickly round things off for the audience, the TesiraFORTE X is the new generation of Tesira DSP processing, and it combines powerful elements of multiple generations of TesiraFORTE DSPs.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, into one product for
Correct.
one quick and easy integration. Well, for quick and easy integration, my apologies, from small spaces into large spaces, right?
Correct.
And even auditoriums.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so there's 3 models to choose from here, guys, and all with very powerful processing power. So Michael, if you'd kindly start us off, please take us through the range of TesiraFORTE X.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, no, as you mentioned, there is 3 products in the lineup, or 3 models in the TesiraFORTE lineup.
Okay.
So the first one is the X400, there's an X800, and then there's an X1600.
Cool.
So in their essence, all 3 models are exactly the same, but the big difference is the amount of echo cancellation that they can process. So all 3 models have 2 inputs and 2 outputs analog.
Okay.
They all have the capability of doing VoIP. They all are basically have 4 PoE ports and 1 non-PoE port on the back, so for all your network connections. But as I mentioned, the big thing, the 400 is 4 channels of echo cancellation, the 800 is 8 channels, and the 1600 is 16 channels. So it's easy to remember, right?
Yeah, that is quite simple to remember.
Essentially means that that's the amount of channels it can process. And then lastly, they all also have USB functionality.
Nice.
So that all to then integrate back to the computer and actually have 2-way comms with the computer in your VC platform.
Okay, so just to get it right, so you said that like the 800 can take 8 channels of AEC, right?
Correct.
Does that mean it can take 8 microphones?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, so when you say 8 channels, it means 1 microphone takes up 1 channel. So you can have up to 8 microphones on a TesiraFORTE X008 as an example.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Okay, cool. So let's get into the details of the new TesiraFORTE X, Mike. What makes this new range of DSPs from Biamp so special?
Well, as you mentioned earlier, Noel, this is basically taking a couple of generations of development from Biamp and also different platforms. So they've taken a bunch of elements and they've improved them and put them into one package. So the big culmination of all that technology and all the years of experience that Biamp has put into the product is called Biamp Launch. And that's the big technology leap and advantage that the TesiraFORTE X line has over the previous generations of, say, the standard TesiraFORTE devices.
Oh, right, okay. So, Biamp Launch. Okay, I know that we did discuss this previously in a video with Joris from Biamp, which was recorded on a VBC 2500. So can you maybe just remind us what Biamp Launch is quick?
Yeah. So Biamp Launch is, like I mentioned, it's taken a whole bunch of different technologies and starting off with the Devio platform. From a couple of years ago, the Devio, you had an auto-tune function.
Yes, I remember that, yes.
100%. So on, for instance, the VBC and now on the TesiraFORTE X, the launch function is an automated setup process. It is an auto calibration process, so meaning it will measure and calibrate both the microphones and the speakers in the room. It's auto sensing in terms of what equipment is on the ecosystem, so on the Biamp ecosystem, so Biamp microphones, Biamp amplifiers, Biamp USB extenders, any of those devices that are part of the Biamp ecosystem will be detectable by launch. And when you activate the launch function or the launch process, and it's as easy as pressing the button on the front panel, if everything's set up correctly, the system will run through it, set up the design file, which you would normally have a technician or engineer program the file.
Yes.
It will then do the, like I mentioned, do the room acoustics, measure the acoustics, measure the microphone performance, measure the speaker performance, and auto-calibrate and tune the system within a matter of a few minutes.
Holy cow, that's actually very amazing. So this DSP has the capability to listen to the room and resolve poor acoustics. So kind of like that technology, the room correction technology would find on most residential home theater amps, right?
Yeah. So we always say, be careful of the term correcting room acoustics.
Okay.
Because to correct room acoustics, you need to do a physical change to the room. So you have to put physical absorption
panels and all that stuff, right?
So what the system would do is it would tune the microphones and the speakers for optimal performance within the acoustics of a space.
Oh, right. Okay.
And that's what makes it so powerful. And generally it would take a sound engineer a couple of hours to come in, tune a room, measure the acoustics, do through that process. So they've taken that process and put it into an automated system. So you have a little engineer sitting in the box and he's punching all the little numbers and he's working out what needs to happen, what the EQ needs to be, what the tuning needs to be.
Wow.
And again, it's adapting to have the best performance from the system within the said room acoustics.
Okay. So just to wrap that up, right? So I know we said that the launch button listens to what the room acoustic sounds like, and then based on the information that it gets back while it's doing the launch process, it will sort of tailor the audio to fit the room correctly, or to try and work as well as it can within that environment.
To optimize the pickup of the microphones and the output of the speakers.
Okay. Right. So just to give an example, all right? Like I know that when sometimes you phone someone on the cell phone and they're in the kitchen, you can immediately hear them in the kitchen because there's a lot of reverberation and all that sort of stuff. So does the bar sort of counter that?
Well, no, again, it can't counter it necessarily, but it can tune to optimize so that you have as little reverberation or reflections in the room acoustics.
Okay, so it focuses on your voice, right? And then sort of just kind of...
Yeah, it helps to clean up...
To clean up the audio, yes.
What's being picked up by the microphones.
Got it, right? Okay.
But again, as I mentioned, the key thing here is that launch works within the Biamp ecosystem.
Yes.
So in other words, you must use Biamp Parlor microphones. So any of the Biamp Parlor microphones can be used.
Okay.
So whether it's the flat seating mics, the X mics, the TCMX, TTMX, the table mics, or we always call them the previous gen, the golf ball TCM mics. And they all function within the Tesira launch when they're plugged into the TesiraFORTE X.
Sure, that's amazing. So I've seen that there's two configuration modes, auto and manual. Can you tell us what the difference is between the two?
So I'll start with manual because that's the easiest one to explain.
Okay.
Manual is manual. So that would mean I take my computer, put my computer down, plug it into the device, and I would configure the DSP as I would normally do on a previous.
So you normally
DSP.
Program it.
So you are then manually programming the system, right?
Yes.
So the key thing with saying that and with doing that is when you manual program, you cannot use launch.
Okay. Yeah, because now you physically or manually telling the system what to do, correct?
So that's me as an engineer or a technician coming in and programming the system and setting it up manually.
Got it. Like we would have done normally.
Yeah, like you would normally do.
Yes.
The auto mode is Biamp launch, right? So that is the automated process of detecting the equipment, programming, and actually placing the design file on the system. So when you receive the box, it's in auto configuration mode, so it's in launch mode.
All right.
So it will have a basic design file ready, check all the systems that's plugged in, adapt the design file, load the design file on the system. It all happens in the back end, and by then you can then sit back and wait for the system to get finished. But the key thing that after you've run the auto configuration, after you've run Biamp launch,
yes,
you will actually get a report. Right, so the whole process, if you don't think we really did a demo on the VBC in that case, but the system gives you audible cues as it goes through every step of the measurement. So it'll measure every speaker and tell you measuring speaker 1, measuring the next speaker, next speaker, next speaker. It'll say measuring the first microphone, next microphone, next microphone, next microphone, depending on how many mics and speakers you've got connected.
Okay.
So it will measure each of those devices and talk you, sort of audible cue you through the system. And then afterwards it tells you your room acoustics is this, the reverberation time is X, say 1 second. After tuning and calibration, your room speech intelligibility has now moved from what would be referred to maybe as a fair acoustics to a good acoustics.
Oh, wow.
Or a great acoustics, right? So that just means that the speech transmission that the system has been tuned for in that room by this Biamp launch process is now been optimized from being fair to being good or great or whatever the steps is. And there's basically 5 steps. So now after this, you can log into the web interface on the unit and you can then download that report card.
I was actually going to ask you that. So you can actually get this report card and like as an integrator or an installer, you can actually go to your end user and say, okay, well, this is the parameters of your room before Biamp launch, and this is the parameters now after Biamp launch. And
100%.
he can actually physically see the differences.
Correct.
That is
Now,
awesome.
you can also use that report cards. It can be filed with your commissioning reports for the room when you do your handover documents, because that's your commissioning reports ultimately.
Yes.
You can submit this with your handover documents to the clients, and at any points in the future, you can always reference back and see if something has changed in the room by doing another measurement and getting another report card, and you can see if there's any physical changes that might have taken place.
So I want to ask a quick question here. Let's say you've set up your DSP and you've auto-calibrated the room, okay? Now they've decided to take the boardroom table, which was a glass boardroom table, and they've decided to replace it with a wooden boardroom table. Do we have to run launch again?
Yes, because now you've changed the acoustics of the room.
Ah, get it.
Right.
So if anything changes in the room, you've got to use Biamp launch again so that it tailors the audio to fit the environment.
It would retune it to fit the new room acoustics.
The new room acoustics,
Right.
yeah.
So yeah, any physical change. So let's say the client then wants to add a plant or a curtain or something into the room. Just walk up to the unit, press the launch button. It'll again, like I say, ask you, you're about to run launch. Do you want to confirm? And you press the button again and you just wait for the process to finish.
And the end user can do this himself.
100%.
So this is not something that's just for the installer or for the person doing the commissioning. Like the end user can literally change his entire room, press the Biamp launch button, and it will recalibrate the system to work for that space again.
Yeah, 100%.
Ah, Biamp, yes. So there's one thing I wanted to ask about the Biamp launch, okay? Noise suppression. Does Biamp launch do any sort of noise suppression? Because as we know, not all boardrooms are the same. Some have got the aircon ducts on the top, they've got aircon ducts on the side or the back. There's a window open or traffic noise. Is there any form of noise suppression with the Biamp launch feature?
Yeah, for sure. And that's part of the like we spoke about in the beginning, that's part of the advancements in the TesiraFORTE X platform.
Right.
So you remember the demonstration you had with Joris for the
yes.
VBC 2500?
Oh, yes.
And that advanced noise suppression that's built into the VBC video bars and the ABC audio bars. Well, that's coming to TesiraFORTE X.
My word.
So as of the time of this recording, it's not in the firmware, but it will be
included.
Included in, and it's a firmware update. So that advanced suppression of vast library of information, noises that can be reduced and cut out by the system will be implemented into the Biamp launch on the TesiraFORTE X. So it's an advanced.
Wow, that's absolutely
system.
incredible. So guys, just for reference here, check on our YouTube page, in our videos, you'll see there's an interview between me and Joris, where we're sitting on 2 chairs in the same studio. Joris actually there was a Checkers plastic bag, right? And he literally rubs this Checkers plastic bag while we're talking, and you could hear his voice over it. You didn't even hear the Checkers plastic bag. I mean, he was also doing something with a pen on the table. He was tearing up some paper, and that sort of technology drowned that out completely, but your voice was still prominent and easy to hear. So that technology is coming to TesiraFORTE X. Guys, I'm telling you, this is amazing. So it sounds pretty complex though, hey Mike, but thanks to the launch button, all of this is done for you with a simple press of a button, right?
It is.
Another amazing feature of the TesiraFORTE X is that it is able to do both Dante, and AVB protocols.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
How cool is that? So you get like best of both worlds in one box, plus room correction, plus all of that.
Yeah, 100%. So for the guys that have seen the Biamp TC5 and the TC5D,
yes,
that's Biamp's little network switch. It's a 5-port switch. Normal TC5 is AVB, and the TC5D is AVB and Dante.
Dante, yes, correct.
And they've basically taken the TC5D and incorporated into the TesiraFORTE X. So that's what we say. It's a whole bunch of products wrapped up into one. And let's say now, for instance, because there's only 5 ports on the back, so just use as an example, if you now want to do 8 microphones and you need additional network ports on the system, you just daisy chain another TC5D or a TC5 from your TesiraFORTE Forte X into the TC5, and you can extend your network port capability. And the box, the TesiraFORTE X box, the DSP, would add that into the program and just also configure.
My word, that's amazing. So just off the topic, sort of. So this box is a lot smaller than your normal DSP box, right? So I'm hoping that we can maybe bring one on the screen and show the clients that the normal DSPs were a 1U sort of wide rack space, and these ones are now half of that, right?
They're half rack space. Yes.
Half rack space, yeah.
But they're also not entirely a full rack U height.
Yeah.
Slightly smaller. So again, they come with a bracket design.
Yes.
And that bracket allows you then to mount the unit under a table, behind a television screen or a monitor in the conference room. So a couple of different neat mounting options on
and
the
some
unit,
cable management, right?
And cable management,
yeah.
everything built in onto the unit.
Yes.
So yeah, it is literally designed, and it has been designed around conference rooms.
Wow.
So that it's easy to install and easy to implement.
So like Biamp says, get in, get paid, get out. So as before, you'd waste what, half an hour, 45 minutes programming?
Yeah,
now you just hit the launch button. Even more than that, now you just hit the launch button and it's all done for you. Yes. Who can fault this fantastic DSP? I mean, it covers all the bases and it makes installation super easy. And with a Biamp launch button, you're ready to roll in just a few minutes, right?
That's it.
I love it. Mike, this kind of brings us to the end of the show. Very informative, excellent information to have on the new Biamp DSPs, guys. We will have more information as we get it out coming soon. So this brings us to the end of the show today, guys. If you've enjoyed this episode, please give us a thumbs up and like and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you never miss content and you're always notified when new content is loaded up. Also, please don't forget to visit our website, www.alpha-tec.co.za for more information on the product ranges we keep, including Biamp. Thanks for joining us today, guys. It's been a real pleasure. Bye. Thanks, Mike, for joining us. See you soon.